Hello and welcome to a nice tutorial where I'll be creating the following image. There we go. Here's a quick little image I made for a tutorial, and yep, this is what we're going to be creating. Might be a few little differences, but it's all going to remain just the same. So I'm going to close that one down. To get started, we're going to create our new file. So we go to File, New, or Control N does the same thing. And here I'm going to title it 3D Text in the name. I'm going to set the background to transparent, and what I'm also going to do, I'm going to go to clipboard here and I'm going to set it to web. And I also want it at 16 bits so we've got better quality. And actually not 16-bit. For web, and I'm going to choose from the drop down. You may have it on 640, but I'm going to change it to 1280 by 1024. And little things I'm going to note as well, if you wanted to make this for a print, if you wanted to print this document, I would set the resolution to 300 here and change it from red, green and blue color to CMYK, so that'll be able for print. But since it's only going to be for the net, I'm going to leave it, actually, should I do 16? No, 8-bit will be fine for web, so I'm going to leave it at that. And by default, I like to leave my background as transparent instead of white or coloured background, but that works for me. So I'm going to click OK, and this is what you get, and you can see got a checkered background. This is just to indicate that this is transparent. It's not white, it's not black, it's not grey, it's just see-through. And another thing I'm going to do as well, I am going to pop in a rectangle tool. Now, down here at the bottom, I'm going to I'm going to open up my swatches. If you don't have swatches here, you can always go to Open. And there it is. Now, mine's ticked, so there's my swatches. You click that to open it up, and then you can drag it to wherever you want it to go. Now, this is paused for a moment. There we go. Click away. Now I want white, so click white there. No, I just want white. There we go. That's my main colour. And now I want to draw in a nice rectangle. So if we go down to our shapes here, we've got this one, which is set to rectangle. You may have it set to something else. If you click and hold using the left mouse button, you can see I've got all these different shapes here, but it's the rectangle I want. This is the shape tool. And I'll click and drag and just kind of how it fit in my background. Now, one thing you can do if it's not quite the size you want it to be, we click on the marquee tool, the second tool down, and then I can right click, free transform path, and then from here I can just snap it around to make sure it fits in nicely. And then once I'm happy, I can press tick or just press enter on my keyboard. There we go, we've got that set as a nice background. So what we're going to do next, we're going to add our gradient. To do this, we're going to use a blending tool. To open up the blending tools, I'm going to go into my layers. Again, if this is missing, go to your window, it's in there. I'm going to I'm going to right click on this layer. Ooh, can I click over here? It's a bit difficult because it's going off screen for me, but then you have this option called blending options. You can also just double click on the layer, but both do the same thing. And what blending layer does is that it can add all kinds of things, like a drop shadow, if you want inner shadow. So you can see it's adding a bit of an inner shadow in the corner there. But we don't want all that. I want to add a gradient overlay. So if I click a tick on there, we get this black going up to white. That's not what I want. I want it sort of greeny colour going to dark. So I'm going to click on Gradient Overlay, and this brings up, with this highlighted, it brings up all the different options that we can use. So what we're going to do, we're going to change the settings. We're going to leave the blending mode to normal. We're going to leave it 100%, but I want to change it from a linear's straight, so it's like white to black, but I want it to be, hopefully this drop down will work, a radial one. So I move that a bit to the side, you can see it goes into more of a circle there. And I want the scale to be 1:4, so it kind of covers more of the edges there. But I don't want these colors. To change the colors of your gradient, I can click on the gradient here, and this window will pop up. I can choose for any of the presets, click this little green arrow and choose others, but I want to create my own. So down here we can actually change the color of this. So I can click on the color. This one controls how transparent it is, the top markers, the bottom ones are the colors. So if I click on the black one, we've got the color right here. If I double click on it, it brings up the selecting, well, the stop colors is called, so that's the stop of it. Now you can click away and create your own colors, different reds, change it to a blue, etc. But the thing is, I've got the what's called the RGB code for the colors I want to use, and you can manually put them in here. This creates the RGB, and if you remember, the first two letters, red next to blue, and the last are green. So RGB. Middle two are green, last one's a blue, RGB. So if I highlight that, the numbers, the code I want to put in is D for duck, C for cricket, 5366. Is that right? Oh no, sorry, not D, it's 0. There we go. So it's 0, C for cricket, then 5366. That brings that color up, and that's the one I want. So I'm going to click OK, and at the end here, I don't want it to be white, I want it to be a dark color. So I'm going to double click on white, and again I'm following a tutorial where I'm using specific colors, so it's going to be 0, 0, 0, 8, 0, and A for apple. So we've got this really, really dark color here. Now I want to add in a third color just to blend this a bit more in. So I'm going to click on the bottom here, and by doing so, just clicking randomly at the bottom, I'm creating a new color, and I want to be at 50% there in the location. I'm going to double click on color. I'm just going to change the code here slightly. I'm going to have it 0. Let's just start from the beginning. So it's going to be 0, 0, 1, 9, 1, and E for elephant. And those are the ones I'm going to follow. I'm quite happy with that now, so I'm going to click OK, and OK again, and you should have something that looks like this. Next, what we're going to do to our background, we're going to add a spiraling effect. And there's an easy way of doing this. We can use the pre-made shapes that are currently in Photoshop. To do that, I'm going to select, highlight the rectangle that we used at the beginning, click and hold, and we're going to go to Custom Shape Tool. Now with this, we've got another shape icon in the toolbar here, on the menu here. Now if I click the little drop down arrow, I get a big selection of items. Now to make sure I've got all of them, I click on the little black arrow here. You can set it to small thumbnails, or you can set it to large ones. I like this large ones, to be honest. And make sure you've got all ticked. It may only show you the basic. It'll say replace current shapes with the shapes from all. Okay? And that will ensure that you have all the shapes available. I have this on default because I like to make sure I have all the shapes I want. There's so many varieties of these that you can always use them, but the one we're looking for particular where is it? Just hunting for it now. That spiral one, I like using the spiral one there sometimes in some projects. And the speech bubble, again, is always a good, and you've got POW shapes. Here it is, right next to the POW shape. That's the one we want to use in our project. So I'm going to click on that to select it, click the drop down. Now before we can use this tool, we've got to zoom out. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can go to Window and get the Navigator, and you can zoom out from here, or if you press Control and minus, you can zoom out manually on Control plus to zoom in. So I'm going to zoom out by about 12.5%. Actually, I'm going to zoom out a bit more. And now, with it again, I'm going to zoom out again. Well, that's fairly small. Yeah, that's quite small. So now I'm going to click somewhere over here with my shape tool selected. Click, hold Shift on your keyboard and drag. This way you can keep your shape in proportion. So we've got the shape there. I'm just going to click and just move this, try and get a dead center. Now if we do have a little problem with this, is that these little corners, they're not moving into the center. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit using Control and plus, and yeah, the spikes are not going to the dead center, so that's going to be a bit of an issue for me. So what we are going to do, we are going to use a point tool, select these points and pull them in. So we're going to use the point tool, so that's this white key that's above our shape key there. Click on our shape. There we go. And now I can click in the corner here, hold Shift and drag to select those points. I'm just going to zoom out just to make sure I haven't selected. There we go. These ones remain blank. So now I can use Control and T, which will give me the free transform option. Oh. We'll bring up the free transform window. And this I can scale these around. I'm just going to press Control Z to undo my little bit there. Now we want it to zoom into the dead center. So to do this, I'm going to hold Alt and Shift and use the drag in the corner. I'm pressing Alt and Shift together, and you can drag in. And I'm just going to press Control plus to zoom in again. Just make sure I go constantly to the center of that. So it just looks like these things are going on forever. There we go. I think that's about as great as I'm going to get. So I'm going to click tick. Just tick that because I'm happy with it. I'll register my tick. There we go. I can zoom out now because I'm quite happy with that and just click away. There we go. We've got that nice spiral effect going on there with our image. But now I want to soften it up a bit. I want to add in a nice softer color to it. So to do that, make sure I've got it, what color is it? I think it's black. But for some reason this has also got the gradient overlay, which is rather interesting. So I'm going to edit that. I'm going to double click on, actually get rid of, yeah, that goes white if we get rid of that effect. Yeah, it's just copying the gradient overlay we had before for some reason, is applying to this as well. Now we are going to make a few changes to this. We're going to double click on the gradient overlay. By double clicking we go straight to the gradient overlay. Now I'm going to change this around a bit. I'm going to leave it as normal, 100%, radial blur, and I'm going to change the scale of it to 23. And the angle, don't think that really matters to be honest, but I'm going to change that to 163. And I'm going to change the gradient slightly. So I'm going to double click on gradient. And what we are going to have with this one, we're going to be changing the options here slightly. So I'm going to double click on this color. I'm going to change the code of this, the RGB, to 1, F for fish, 8, B for black, 9, free. So we've got this lighter green color here. Go double click on the middle color and change the RGB of this to 41797 and F for fish. And press OK. And the final color I'm just simply going to change to white. So if I double click, and with this one I can just simply drag the color up to the top corner here so that the RGB is just FF, 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 and that's fine. Now what I am going to do, I'm going to change this around a bit. I'm going to move this down over here slightly so it's a bit closer, and this one a little bit out over here. Doesn't really matter about percentages, maybe about 64% is fine. Now this time with this guy, I'm going to click on the top one and I'm going to change its setting to be occupancy 0. I'm going to drag him along so he's quite close, about there. So you should have a setting similar to this. I'm going to click OK. OK over here. I'm going to change the occupancy settings here for my spiral. With the shape selected, I'm going to go over to occupancy and change this to about 70. And I think another thing I'm going to do with this as well, I might change the color to black so it blends in a bit better. So I'm going to double click on the white here. So it's no longer white. I'm going to drag this all the way down to the other corner. So my code should be 00000. That's black, and click OK. So we've got a black shade there, and there we go. That looks a lot better. So we've got this sort of black going on there. So that's really good. That's exactly what I want at the moment. Now, another thing we're going to do, we're going to tweak this up a bit. We're going to actually soften the edges over here, just so it just kind of softens it up. So we're going to create a new layer. And to do that, you can either right click down here. Ooh. No, that doesn't do it. You can either, oh, I think it's in insert. No. Anyway, one way to do that, so the easiest way to do it is just click on this icon. We've got link, effects, that is, I believe, mask. We've got this curious chappy where we can add all kinds of stuff to it. I think all these settings, hue, saturation, curves, folder, and finally layer and bin. So we want to use is a new layer. So if I click on this guy down here, we've created a new layer. And what we're going to do with our new layer, we're going to select a brush. It's going to be set to black, so I'm going to get the default colors, you've got this weird little icon above our main colors. If I click on that, it changes it to black and white. That is what I want. And what I'm going to do with this tool, I'm going to draw in black. Now before I do this, I'm going to change the layer occupancy. Well, actually, I'm going to leave layer occupancy as it is. I'm going to change the brush one. So I'm going to click on the brush tool over here. It's set to normal mode. I'm going to change the occupancy down to 10 by clicking there. And another thing I'm going to do with the brush, you can either, oh sorry, going ahead of myself here. You can click on the drop down arrow here, or you can right click anywhere. Oop, don't know why it's. Click anywhere on the stage and you get these different options. Let's scroll down a bit and try and find the soft brush set to 100. So we've got a nice soft brush here. Actually, can I go with 300? Yeah, I'm going to stick with 300. Oop, don't want to press that. Just want to click away. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to darken the edges slightly over here, just to soften it up a bit. So I'm just drawing this in. I think it's because it's set to 10, I can draw in as many times as I want. We just want it. What we're doing is just softening up the edges ever so slightly. I've got a bit of glare on my screen here, so you spend more time with this, but you see it's kind of softened up the edges a bit better there. Just gonna go around again. I don't know that. Just trying to keep outside the colour. There we go. That will do for now. So I'm quite happy with that. So what we're going to do, we're going to start adding our text as we've got our background sorted. So to do that, we're going to have to get our text style. Now, when we're writing our words, we're going to have to do it with by doing separate different characters. So I'm going to click on, where is it, T for type, or just press T on your keyboard. Now I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to press, actually I'm just going to type the word V. Now you can see it's black, that's not really going to help us, so I'm going to click to highlight that V. You can change the colour at the top here. I'm going to change it to just a nice bright yellow. So actually the RGB for that's FF, I think 0, F. Yeah, so it's FF00 to get the bright yellow. And what we're going to do, we're going to be changing the font of this as well. So you could do it at the top here, but I prefer to use a different setting called character. Character allows you to have a bit more control over what you're doing. So to get the character, you can go to Window, Character, and here's a little window for it. I'm going to change this to, I think, Franklin Goff. There is it, F. There should be a this font should be a default one, so I think Franklin Goff Heavy. It's quite a heavy font there. I'm going to change the scale of it to 255, so quite a big scale there. And what else am I going to do? I'm going to click on this icon here, which will make it small cap. So make sure that is ticked, so it's always on cap. So there we go. So with that selected, I'm going to click on layer 1 down here just to deselect that layer, and now I can type my other letters, I, and that has the same settings. C, K, and Y. So we've got Vicky there. Just realized I'm just going to change the V maybe to just a small V. That's a bit better. I'm just going to rearrange these a little bit so it spells Vicky there. I'm just going to click on this, and using the move tool, the first one there, I'm just going to rearrange these slightly. You can use whatever word you want, it doesn't really matter. You can also use your arrow keys just to move things around a bit more to put control, so I'm quite happy with that setup there. So the next thing we are going to do, we're going to select all of them and we're going to skew these letters a bit. So I'm going to click on V, hold Shift and click on Y, and by holding Shift we're selecting from between V to Y, so all the letters you've created. Go get right click, get the marquee tool, right click, free transform. We've got all of them selected now, but I want to skew them, so I'm going to right click on them again and I'm going to skew. And with the skew icon, I can hover near the top of the line here, just over it, click and drag, and just change these around a bit. So you can hear my dog, I don't know why she's scratching the floor. So yeah, that's my dog scratching the floor there. Stop it. There we go, so there we go. So that's skewed. I'm quite happy with that. Maybe move that. Just play around a bit until it looks right. And for me that looks about right. We're trying to get it looking as though it's kind of flat on the ground there. There's kind of a bit of an angle to it. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that for now. Just wondering if I could. You see, I'm a bit of a perfectionist with this. Yeah, I think that's as good as I'm going to get it. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to click OK. And now we're going to use a tool called Merge Down, using all our letters. So what we're going to do, and I always like to work in a non-destructive way. So I'm going to right click on all these letters and click Duplicate Layer and go OK. And it's going to duplicate a copy of these. And what I'm going to do with them is going to put them into a folder and then forget about them. So if anything goes wrong, I can easily go back and change these. So to do that, I'm going to click on this icon in the middle here, and that's to create a folder. So I click on that, I've got a folder. So I'm going to type in text into there. And I'm going to highlight my copy versions and simply drag them, click and drag with your left mouse button and drag, so just so you get that weird little block snapping. You can just see it's like there, into the text. You see they move slightly, to show you the difference. You can see there's a bit of a move to the right there, indicates they're inside the text folder. I can minimize the folder and I can also make it invisible. That way, if I want to change anything, I can easily pop into there and use the copies. It's always good to do that as good practice. So what we're going to do, we are going to I think it'd be a good idea to merge these together and then just bring them down a bit. So I'm going to select the V and the Y. I'm then going to right click and I'm going to merge these layers. So where's the merge? Is there a merge? Okay, no. What you do instead, there's a shortcut key for this. Press Ctrl and E on your keyboard and I'll merge it into one piece, which I can just move about as one. And then what we're going to do next, I think there's another way of doing this. It's called rasterization. So if we click on that, just to show you again, we can right click rasterize type, and then unfortunately you can't see it. Can I do it down here? There we go. Right click merge layers, so it's merged as one, but E does it in one click. Well, Control and E. And now what we're going to do, I'm going to be pressing Control and Alt, and with the move tool selected we've got this weird key. I'm going to be pressing down with Control and Alt on my keyboard. Ooh. And you see it's made a copy of that. So I'm just going to make a note of the copy. So I'm just going to keep pressing down a lot. So that's Control Alt and down. And just keep pressing it. Do not worry about the number of layers you're creating. Ooh. I think mine's jumped ahead a bit there. So I've created very quickly about 30 layers. Yeah, I think 30 layers is a nice number to go with. Maybe... Ooh. Okay, mine's lagging a bit here, so there we go. I think I went for 40 there. Yeah, 40 is an okay number. If you feel it's a bit too much, don't use as many. Now, I've got a bit of an issue now. I've got all these weird layers. Not to worry, we can merge them. I'm going to select 40, scroll down, do not select the V, we want to keep that one. I'm just going to hold Shift and select these other ones. Right click and merge this to be the 3D text. So I'm just going to right click 3D Wiki. I'll just leave that V. I'm just going to double click. Just double click on this. No. Sometimes happens. You can have a right click. And is there a rename section? Nope, you just gotta be careful, just click on the V. There we go. Just takes clicking it enough times, but you can't click it too quick, otherwise you go into the blending options. That's one little trick there. And what I'm going to do, just to make sure everything's correct, I'm going to move Wiki to be on top of the 3D part, so it should appear like that. So if we get rid of the 3D, Wiki should be the one on top still. So now we've got that at the ready. What we're going to do, we're going to merge, we're going to add a gradient to my 3D Wiki here. And we're going to use a series of different colors. So I'm going to double click on Wiki, well 3D Wiki, or you can right click and go to blending options. Let's see if I can bring that blending options there. We want the gradient overlay again. You can see it's coming up there. And actually I'll move to the side here and use my navigator to help me there to organize the colors. So with our gradient overlay, this time I'm going to set the angle to 0. So going in a straight line that way. We're going to leave it linear as well. I'm quite happy with the rest of the settings. The only thing I'm going to change is the color. So I'm going to add a variety of different colors. I'm going to just move them about a bit. So the first one, you can make notes of these or you can make them up as you go along, is going to be 082026. I'm going to make another colour about there, and this one will be 274851, like that. Can make another one about here, and this one will be 082026. I'm going to go for a lighter colour here, just to add a bit of light tones. So this one will be 23646, C for cat. So you get this lovely colour there, and there's your code. Press OK. And instead of having to do all that again and again and again and again, you can actually copy these. To do that, I can select this colour here, so making sure that triangle on top is black. Go ahead in time and just click in this empty space here. Has that done the trick? Yep. That has added the same colours I've had there. I've just duplicated it. And I'm going to do the same with this colour. I'm going to select it, click on the edge here, and it's just lagging a little bit because I'm recording, so that's why I've got this lag. And that should be the nice bright colour, and I'm going to get rid of this white. If you find you've made too many colours, you want to get rid of something, you can actually just click, drag, and just pull it off, and there you go. Now I'm just going to move this to, just going to click OK, and just move this to the side just so I can see how my Vicky's getting on. And I'm not entirely sure about it. I might want to move the colours around a bit. Just going to move this to the side there, and I'm just going to move these around, just see. I like that bit there. Let me bring this, yeah, that dark shade there, maybe bring this. So kind of like a light source down here. Make it maybe softer there, so it's not. Yeah, that's not too bad. Maybe move this bit there. That's a bit better. So instead of just playing around with this, just getting that different variation of light there, and I might add a bit more to this K and Y, so I might go for a really dark colour, and select that dark one and add that in there. Let's create a little bit, it's got a little bit of something going on there. So we've got a little something going on. Doesn't make sense, that dark colour there, so I might... a bit tricky that. Might bring that in. As I say, when you're working with yours, you can always personalise them. I think ending in a dark colour there. Don't know. Just swap these around to see. I think that kind of works a bit better, having this bit of black. I should put black about there. Yeah, that kind of works for me there. You can really go to town on this and just work with the colours a bit, maybe because it's going a bit darker here, you can add a bit more colour, you can personalise it. But I'm going to leave it as that. I'm quite happy with that colour setup for now. I'm just going to click OK and OK. And that's what we're going to leave this video for now. So in the next part we're going to be adding a bit more detail and I think a stroke as well, just to outline this slip. So tune in again.